Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the WCS America round of 16. We had a fantastic day of StarCraft 2 yesterday with groups A and B, concluding with 4 players going through to the quarterfinals. Today, we'll complete our round of 16 with groups C and D. And don't worry, America, because you still have one hope left. That's right, Captain America is still to come in Group D. Let's take a look at the 16 players who qualified through to the round of 16 through groups A to D. As you can see in Group A, the winners Oz and Hyun going through yesterday in very straightforward fashion, but Puck put up a fantastic fight. In Group B, it was Neeb that put up a terrific fight in the end, losing out by 1 map to Revival on becoming the first American to make it through to the round of 8. He joined Alicia, Revival joined Alicia in Group B. Today we'll go with Group C, Arthur, Max Z, and Tasia and Tootming, 2 Chinese players against 2 Koreans. And in Group D, Pol, Bomber, Crank, and Jigua will complete our round of 16 in the group of death, and it is an absolutely terrific group of death. That's coming up a little bit later on. First, we're going to concentrate on Group C. Let's go and join Rotterdam, who's waiting for us. Roddy, yesterday, great games yesterday, really enjoyable games, had some fun games, a little bit of everything. Neeb was terrific for a little while, didn't quite get there. Puck again also showed us that the Americans can play some StarCraft too.
No, they definitely can, and it's something that we have seen for quite a while, and especially like the region lock North American tournaments are always super fun to watch, but it's really cool to see them on the absolute biggest stage going up against, you know, the best players in the world, because it's in the end of the day, in every WCS region, there are a few players that can go far in any tournament. It doesn't really matter which tournament you place them in, and yesterday we did indeed see Neeb and Puck show that they're close. They're not there yet, but they're getting really close.
Yeah, it's good to see the American scene getting stronger and stronger, supported by things like the StarCraft Invitational and the MLG Invitational, so it's great to see that. We're going to concentrate on Group C today. It's a very different kind of group compared to the previous 2 days. We don't have any North Americans in there, obviously. 2 Chinese and 2 Koreans. Let's take a look at the 4 players in Group C. And there we go. Arthur, Max said, Tasia and Tootming. The one that stands out, of course, in all of that is Tasia, the man who many would say didn't so much have a summer of 2013, but had a year of 2000. It really was the year of Tasia last year. I know he didn't win BlizzCon, and I know he didn't win perhaps some of the bigger prize pots that he would have liked to have won, but he definitely had a terrific year. 5 tournament victories last year. Almost unprecedented since the days of MVP and Wings of Liberty, so really terrific from him. And the other 3 are really up against it when you think of it. Arthur, again, beat Bomber in the round of 32, had a terrific tournament. Max said in the round of 8 for the 3rd consecutive season. I know he's one of your boys as well. And Tootming, great to see him in here as well. Lots of experience between them, but they've got a tall order trying to take down Tasia.
Definitely. Tasia, on paper, the overwhelming favorite, and I still think that he is. Despite, for instance, as you said already, Max has a better WCS record than Tasia, even though you could say Tasia made it to the semi-final, and ironically enough, they played against each other in the Season 2 round of 8. Back then, Tasia won 3-1 pretty convincingly. But still, Max is up there. Tootming impressed a lot of people in his round of 32 performance. And let's not forget, guys, the Chinese players, they play online from China on the North American server. That is not easy. Like, I cannot do it. I'm a big nitpicker when it comes to latency.
I can barely play on the European server, Kev, so I know what you mean.
Here, but like if you put me with latency, then it's just like tears rolling all over my face. Oh, I can't do anything. So I think it's so impressive that these guys are able to do that, because the connection is really not that good, and it's an awesome opportunity for them to show offline what they're truly made of.
With Tasia being the outright favourite in this group, that means the 2nd place is up for grabs, but is it up for grabs by all 3 players?
I think on paper it is. Tootming is kind of a wild card for me. He impressed me in the round of 32. He impressed a lot of people, but it's hard for me to put him over someone like Arthur. Like Arthur might be someone that a lot of people think like, he's just your average Protoss, but for quite a while he was posting screenshots of his ladder adventures on the Korean server, top 8 GM, top 16 GM. You have to be pretty damn good to be like top 16 GM on the Korean server. So I think he can do it. Obviously, Max has shown us twice in the past that he can do it. His teammate Jigua seems to be really full of Max as well. Like when Jigua made it through his group, he's like, yeah, Max plays next week, but I'm 100% sure he makes it through the group. And I was like, that's pretty confident. But Max did make it through his group without almost any problems. So I think 2nd place is up for grabs. But I think even the 1st place is up for grabs, because Tasia has taken a small break. I would say in the last few months we've seen a couple of uncharacteristic things of Tasia, like those 2 games that he left against Stardust at IEM Katowice. Everyone's like, what? Like, I mean, it looked a little dicey, as James would say, but that was not over, you know. So what kind of Tasia are we going to see today? I don't know. Tasia is the favorite on paper, and if you look at the history, he's an overwhelming favorite, but I wouldn't like blindly put my money on Tasia to win this group.
Okay, those are the 4 players that we've got playing in Group C. Let's take a look at the bracket now and show you who's playing who. Our first match will be Arthur versus TooDming, and then we'll follow that up with Tasia versus Maxed. As Kev's already said, a rematch from Season 2's quarterfinal where Tasia came out on top. Let's start with Arthur and TooDming to start with. Looking at the 2 players side by side, Arthur came through against Bomber in Group D of round of 32. Terrific result for him, but again, we always talk about, it's online and it's a little bit different. One's coming from China, one's coming from Korea. How much stock do you put on that victory?
I mean, that was definitely like a legit victory. I don't think that latency played that much into it, because those were not build order wins as in a way that like, oh, he got a big advantage, but that was just like, I'm going to do something really crazy that I don't think Bomber has dealt with before, or Jaedong for that matter, and he was able to pull through.
Do we, joking aside, but well, I'm joking a little bit, do we, I mean, is he the cheesiest player in the group?
Yeah, I think so. A few months ago, it would have been close because Maxed was pretty cheesy as well. But in the round of 32, Maxed played the most solid PvZ that I've ever seen him play against Sen in game 1, and then in game 2 he did do cheese. But that makes him even more dangerous, because now he showed us that he has one more skill set to his arsenal. He can play the super passive macro PvZ style, and I was like blown away. I was like, wow, Maxed, if you're able to do this as well. But yeah, I think that Arthur is the most aggressive, the most crazy, the wildest Protoss out there.
Okay, he has $7,123 to his name in career earnings, which just, when you look at some of the quality of the players, the 16 players collectively have over $1.1 million won between them. Tasia, we already know, he's up towards $300,000 already. And when you look at his winnings, you just kind of go, well, where's he been? What's he been doing? But he has won an absolute truckload of online cups.
Yep, for a long time Arthur tried to break through on the scene. I know him a little bit because he was very close to make it to the NASL Season 4 finals. He played in NASL Season 4, had a good run. I believe he lost in the playoffs against Golden, but that's a long time ago. All I know is that he was close. He was 1 map win away, and if that would have been the case, then he would have gone to Long Beach back then at the end of 2012, and then we would have already got to know Arthur a long time before. Now we actually truly get to know him on the big stage. But he's been around, he's just never had that big breakthrough performance.
Okay, it's a PvZ, and neither of these, either ZVP or PvZ, is their best matchup, but it's not their worst matchup either. So really difficult, because they've not played each other either, so it's very hard for us to kind of predict where this one's going to go. I mean, all we can really do is look at some of their rankings, and they rank very similarly. They've won similar amounts of money. They've been around in the scene for similar amounts of time. So where do you draw the line? Where do you draw it from?
I have no idea, Paul. I'm kind of like you. I'm just like, I'm guessing basically everything I say. But what is very funny is that Tootming just gave an interview to Team Liquid, and Team Liquid always provides awesome coverage of all the WCS regions. But it's very funny because they ask him about his practice. He's like, well, I'm not sure because my ladder points are not very high. And out of the 10 games I play against Protoss, I get cheesed like 6 times, and I maybe have like 2 macro games.
Yeah, he said, I've been cannon rushed 5 out of 10 games.
But that might actually be the best practice you could wish for.
Against Arthur, that might actually prove brilliant. That's like a genius masterstroke for him.
So perhaps he's not aware of that just yet, but I don't think he could have practiced anything better. Like if you practice against the solid PvZ macro style, that's most likely not what you're going to go up against Arthur. So if you ask me, I think Tootming, he looked really solid in the round of 32, perhaps a small favorite, but it's really hard to say.
Okay, yeah, interesting. Tootming beat Scarlet in the round of 32, and Arthur beat Bomber, and we know all about those 2 players, don't we? Let's find out which one of these is going through to the winner's game in Group C. It's time to go over to your commentary team for our opening match of the day with Todd and Kalaris.
Thanks very much, guys. All right, let's get into our first game of the day between Arthur and Tootming to determine who is going to be moving on to the winner's match here in Group C. PvZ to open things up. I'm looking forward to this because I'm not as familiar with these 2 players as I would like to be. They haven't really played that many public PvZs. And games in Europe, I guess.
Yeah. The thing about Arthur, it was covered well, is that he's a very cheesy player. We're not going to sugarcoat it. We're not going to hide it. He's one of those players that's, I would say, one of the most explosive Protoss players. And God knows there are a lot of those out there. He's always going to try to bring on the aggression, always going to go for specific builds on specific maps. And here, going up against somebody like Tootming, probably both players, as much as there is a chance they've played each other on the Korean server, I doubt that they play with their real ID. So I'm not sure if they know what to expect out of each other, and that's going to make it very, very difficult for them to go into this match being able to anticipate exactly what their opponent is going to be up to. So Alterzim wasn't vetoed here.
Yeah, I'm surprised by that, actually. I was expecting that to go.
Polar Knights and Daedalus make sense for Arthur here. Daedalus, again, the first veto that you want to go into against a Zerg player. Polar, it's very open, hard to force field, hard to do aggressive build and all-in. So I would say there's 2 Watchtowers. Overlords can cover the side very well as far as vision goes for Proxy Pylon. So Frost Habitation and then Alterzim. Could be our maps here. No handshake.
No, they just... I'll just go to
it's
my
not
PC
the standard. I mean, they're not particularly instructed to do it, but some players just by default will do it.
Yeah.
Tootming seems pretty happy to be here. Pretty cool dinosaur. It's like his version of Stefano's dog, you know, that he had on his monitor.
It's nice to have the Chinese guys here just in general.
Well, there's more than one.
Yeah, exactly. We have a lot here today. And it's very rare that in Europe we get the chance to have them over here. So looking forward to seeing what they're going to bring to the table. That's for sure. But as already mentioned by quite a few of us, we've got to look out for the aggressive nature here of this player, Arthur. Previously of Slayers, then joining Western Wolves, and now eventually ESC.
Quite a few ex-Slayers here. Alicia, Crank, Hart. You know Hart used to be on Slayers?
Yeah, it's like a get-together, man. Everyone's here.
I was talking a little bit with Edison, the manager of Chinese team IG, and he was telling me that Tootming right now in China might be around the top 5 of players. They have some very strong players. That's one thing to remember. Sigua, Jim, Maxed, and then behind them will be somebody like this guy over here on your screen, Tootming. He placed top 8, the last big tournament that there was in China, which was won by Jim, and Maxed was second. So maybe not all that's not too consistent. I guess maybe the top 4 is pretty fine. That's why he was having a hard time breaking into that top 4 and stopped at the top 8, which, if you think about it, is equal to finishing as 5th. But yeah, in this case, what I heard about Tootming is that he's good against all-ins, and he appreciates playing against this. Like, he practiced on the Korean server. He's top 15 Grandmaster on the Korean server, so surely he has a lot of practice against all-ins. And from what I heard, he likes to play with a lot of roaches. So I'm gonna guess quick third base, good injects, a lot of roaches, Zerglings, and then if he's able to hold some kind of all-in, just goes for a counter and he's able to win from there. If not, he's good at Hive Tech. He's not that guy that will stay on Lair Tech and go for Mutas or Corruptors too often. He's more likely to go into Hive for, I think, Vipers with Hydralisk, maybe support or all that, maybe some Ultras. That's what I heard.
So basically, he's just looking to survive the torrent of aggression that could be on his way from Arthur.
You know, Kiwikaki once said something very, very smart to me when talking about a player that plays very all-in-ish and very aggressive. He said, step 1 against this player, defend. Step 2, profit.
Fair play.
And that's going to stick with me for the rest of my life. I'm always going to remember that, because it's, as much as it's funny, it's a funny way to say it, it's very, very true.
Yeah.
When you play against somebody that plays like Arthur does, that plays like a lot of players that like to be very aggressive, like to play cheesy, like to try and trick and surprise their opponents, defending is the first step, and then from there, you can, as long as you play it solid enough, you can conclude and finish off your opponent.
You can. First map's going to be Frost from here, and then after that, Habitation Station. And obviously, if we need it, Altazim Stronghold. But just in general, what we saw from the map selection in those 3 is that Tootming chose Frost, then Arthur went to the smaller of the remaining 2 maps. So certainly some tendencies of aggression there. Habitation Station is certainly a map where we could see a player like Arthur go for that goal base early, even if he wants to, and then go for a big swell of gateways against a player like Tootming. And now the countdown's begun for game number 1 here in Group C between these 2 guys. I do like the dinosaur, and I'm wondering if that's one of the keyboards that actually lights up whenever you press it.
Yeah, it looks similar to the one of Patience, I think.
Yeah, I saw that on his stream, and it was the coolest keyboard.
Do you like the wristband?
Yes.
Does it help with pain if you you have some pain sometimes? By the way, his chair is way too low. This is the best way to have hurting wrist. You definitely need to have that higher, I think.
Thank you very much. Mr. Professional Todd. I know you're picky about your settings, so anyway, let's get into it, guys. Game number 1 here, as we have spawning up to the top right-hand corner our blue Protoss, representing ESC Icy Box. It's Arthur. And And then down to the bottom right-hand corner are Red Zerg, representing Zenith of Origin. It is Tootming. I really like that team name.
The first thing I noticed is the positions, close position, sorry. Yesterday, we saw how different a game on Frost can be in PvZ if you are on close or cross position. Remember, Puck versus Sion, and then Alicia versus Sion. Very, very different games.
Yeah.
Being sieged by Swarm hosts can be a big problem on close position, but as we mentioned, I feel like it's less likely to happen here, even though I guess, say TooDming was to open on 2 bases and take very, very quickly to Swarm host, he's going to be safe against a lot of our lanes, to be honest, and then he's going to be able to take a slow third and all that, but I'm sure that Arthur knows how to counter that better and will be able to recognize it early enough to make sure he can counter it at least decently. On this map here, what might happen is that you see TooDming is going to go for the hatch first. How do you proxy a pylon? How do you get units across the map if you want to be aggressive? The right-hand side most likely going to be covered by an overlord that sees that bridge. And the middle, there's going to be the watchtower, overlord's placed there, and probably on the bottom left-hand side of the main base of TooDming, you could place an overlord there as well and see if anything's headed that way. So it's going to be very hard for Arthur to make aggression work in these positions. I feel harder than on a cross map.
Well, Arthur's already opened up with Nexus. The Overlord does actually spot that, tries to hide it as best he can then from there, and he's going to go for a third hatchery after knowing where his opponent spawned in the more aggressive spot. So this is a cool opening from him, because right now Arthur's in the dark. He really can't do anything against this. There's nothing. Very
greedy opener by both players. Isn't that what we saw yesterday? I think.
Yes. I think it was in the last couple of the games.
Yeah. No, it was Alicia Revival, actually. Yes, I think I said Hyun earlier. It was Hyun and Puck, and then Alicia Revival that we had later on.
Yeah, it was in the last group.
So we had a similar opener, and again, well, this means that they're going to focus on the economic side of things. TooDming, he had the opportunity here if he wanted to, I guess maybe if he thought he could be up against a gateway expand, to go for a gas before his pull, but he chose not to. So as much as this build is good and safe and all that overall, if Arthur was to see exactly what he's up against from very early on here, and he does what we saw Hero do versus Hyun on this map actually in Katowice, which is you add 2 extra gateways, you do a pressure with a lot of stalkers swapped in 3x3, so that your opponent, since he doesn't have Zergling speed, how does he defend? He's going to lose a lot, and then you follow up with a 6 or 7 gate blink.
Yeah.
That's basically the direct counter to that build that we see TooDming do. So now, actually the probes not going to go in the main. Seeing if there was gases at this time was very, very important.
Yeah.
But not having spotted the third, he wasn't sure if there could be a queen out, Zergling, so he's not going to risk going into...
Down to that bottom left, but hasn't seen a third, and he's not looking to check that other... Oh, okay, so it does go over there now. Mothership Core in production behind all of this.
Very, very quick one. Plus a stalker, so I guess he's going to do a minimum of aggression. I think he realized now there was no gas since he saw the third base.
Well, he kind of boosts it out, so he's certainly looking to pressure.
Do you think 2 more gates in a second?
Could do. I would like to see it at least, because without speed, how are you actually going to defend that as TooDming? Effectively, at least. It's going to force out a lot, but...
Oh, Robo.
Oh, okay, that's in a very kind of immortal, pushy position.
Yeah. I think with that hatchery being that close to where his Robo and Natural are going to be, this is going to be quite deadly. This is going to get there very, very fast. And as much as I was saying that it's very hard to get proxy pylons across the map, in this situation, he's not even going to need them. He could just get 2 Immortals, a Warp Prism behind it, and then warp in right next to his units very, very quickly.
Yeah, it's a scary spot here for Tootming that's just going to have to hold on. As you said before, defend, then profit. Can be a good mantra here for him if Arthur is going to commit to this.
I didn't know this was going to become a thing.
Well, man, it's... For now, for Tootming, as long as he does do that, he should be okay. He's got a lot of drones on the way. He knows he can just drone up freely here. But unfortunately for him, it's... Oh, actually, there's the third and fourth gas going down.
They're a little bit late. He's been making a lot of probes on his... For a moment, I was thinking maybe he will go into like 7 gates plus 2 Immortals and a War Prism, but no. I think this is definitely better for Arthur to go into this kind of sentry heavy play with his Immortal attack. And this is cool that we see this, because talking to the IG manager Edison, he was telling me TooDming likes to play against all-ins more than against macro Protoss, and he's very, very good. He's going to get a lot of roaches out, a lot of units out, and it's going to be able to defend, but no roach run yet. What do you make of this?
It's going to be difficult without Roach, Warren. That's certainly right. He's thrown down another hatchery in his base.
I'm wondering, is he planning something totally different?
Is it just going to be Lings? And, well, I've seen sometimes Banelings even trying to defend it, but it's crazy.
I don't think it's Lings, because if you wanted to go into Lings, you get double Evo down very, very quickly for upgrades. So I think he's either planning on Spiring or... Hydra is an option.
Okay.
I was thinking maybe Swarmost, but Hydras makes sense. Hydras plus Zerglings against this kind of attack. I think it can be very, very good. Tefel was one of the first guys who basically used Hydras every single game. He might actually be the only guy who does it every time. And he was doing very good against Immortal pushes for a long time because of this. Yeah,
I think something like Swarmhost would have just come too late here for the defense. He's making the Spine Crawlers at the third base. Now he knows what's going to hit him. He knows what's coming, despite not having seen the Robo facility.
He has a unit on each possible third, so he knows that since there is no third base.
A Hydralisk Den is like the greatest response, because it builds so quickly.
That link timing is very nice. He might be able to delay this attack and force a bunch of force fields if he was to run in there.
At least he sees it moving across.
He's already kind of delayed it. You see Arthur is being a little bit hesitant. He saw a bunch of links. He's like, what? Maybe I should be careful. Maybe I should wait for one more or two more Warpins. The problem is, injects are being hit in the meantime. And Tootming, his production is going to take off. This is supposed to be a 9 minutes 30 timing, which is going to become very, very quickly a 10 minutes timing. In that 1 minute, Zerg is going to exploit his 60 drones to make a lot of units. Look at the production tab. Only one player is making a lot of units. Supply block.
And Arthur's got to be so careful when he moves out, because of the Zerglings trying to force out force fields themselves once that does come along. These Zealots were trying to go to work on these spines, but they all die off for free pretty much. A little bit of damage done to a spine, but not a whole lot.
Look at how nicely Groove Spines is going to hand at this timing hits. He has 3 spines, he moved one of them. Tootming, I love the way he's done this so far, but he hasn't won yet. Arthur is very, very strong with these pushes. He's very experienced with them.
Spine's going to block off a little bit. There's positioning for the Hydralisk as he goes into the engagement and trying to get on top of as much of this army as possible. The majority of the Hydralisks are actually firing, with Zerglings coming in from the backside as well. There's not that much firepower left here for Arthur. Not only that, but he doesn't really have that huge amount of force fields left that he really, really needs. He's doing a good job of space controlling, but still, Tootming's production behind this is still looking good. He's got 22 Zerglings on the way. He's got 3 Hydralisks as well. He even starts the Hydra speed behind this because he feels that comfortable. Tootming is holding on.
This is going to be enough. This was a direct counter to what Arthur was going to do. Tootming knew this was going to come. He didn't make any Evos. He's like, you know what? I'm going to skip Roaches. You're doing an Immortal push. Why would I make the units that die so quickly against Immortals? Even though that one little guy has 17 kills, he's going to die now. And behind this, Tootming just ends the game with the attack. Remember, this is something we've seen before. I think it was in Shanghai. Oz went for an attack, it failed, and then behind this you get countered by Mice Hydralisks knocking at your wall. It was on this map as well, and they just crush everything. So, nice hold by Tootming.
And it's not even a full commitment here from Tootming, because he has 13 drones behind it. The Hydra's now going to start sieging this up. 2 Immortals get dropped in the main to try and salvage the situation, but I just don't think that's going to be enough. The Zerglings actually flood on in with these Hydralisks as well. If only he had high ground vision to take out that Robo with like an Overseer or something, but he cleans it up in the main, and there you go, GG for game number 1. Tootming.
Get the hell out of my game, says Tootming.
Defend and profit. Defend and profit, man. There you go. And it works. It works. So game number 1 goes to him, and he looks pretty confident about that. He looks pretty calm.
And Arthur looks pretty sad. Sad Arthur. I had to. But you know what? As much as having one style and being very good at it can be nice, it also has its weaknesses. If your opponents are able to prepare, if they know what's going to come, and if they are great players, you shouldn't be able to beat them. Even if your execution is great, it's never good to be predictable in StarCraft, no matter what. And that's especially true in this case when you get into a close position scenario against a Zerg and you don't even... Like, he could have tried to sell something, you know? Like, he could have maybe gone for a third base, but not used it and gone for a timing behind it, you know? But at this point, Arthur is like, I'm not even going to try and fake anything. I'm just going to make a Robo, make a bunch of units. I don't think he even cared if this had been scouted. And in the end, Tootming was just too solid to die to this.
And Habitation Station that we load up onto now is another map where we could see Arthur do very, very similar strategy. Maybe just claiming the goal base from there. It's a little, I don't see as much as I used to like a month and a half or 2 months ago, but it's still there. It's still viable, especially for a player like Arthur, who has just shown on Frost that he would like to go for an immortal push. You can still go for the gold base and like not go for an immortal push and just go for a big gateway timing. But so there are options available to him, and I won't be surprised if one of these did come out here in game number 2.
So you think gold base definitely?
I'm going to go with it, yeah. I think so.
For Arthur?
Yes.
And for Tootming?
Same as last game. I mean, why fix what isn't broken?
Is Maynard here casting with me? That's what he always says.
See, I didn't realize. All right, let's get into it. Arthur versus Tootming, game number 2. Tootming currently 1 game up. Spawning up to the top right-hand corner, we have our blue Protoss representing ESC Icy Box. It is Arthur. And up to the top left-hand corner, our red Zerg representing Zenith of Origin. His hair is fabulous. It's Tootming. Look at that hair.
So now you're going full wolf on me?
I know, I'm sorry.
You know,
Shades of Wolf.
Honestly, these players, they might not be as known as some of the other players in those groups, say like Teja and all these guys, but they are so good. They are consistently very high up there on the Korean ladder in Grandmaster. And believe me, that's a very, very hard thing to achieve. Takes a lot of hours of practice, takes a lot of dedication, but these guys, they have it. They have that dedication. They practice all the time, very, very much. And it really shows when they play. Tootming, I have to say, I'm very impressed by him. I've played him in the past. It was a long time ago, but I think he's evolved a lot as a player. And I really feel like as much as while I was describing his style before, it sounded like he was a one-dimensional player, you know, that has one main style he sticks to. I think he can play a lot of different styles, because before when I played him, he did a lot of different things, and I hope for him he's going to be ready for what's coming, because second overlord is not sent to his natural.
Yeah, okay, so we predicted a goal base, but Arthur here has got other plans on his mind, which is looking a bit cannon rushy.
Do you know the mathematics of Cannon Rush?
The mathematics.
Yeah.
Give
Do you
me,
know them?
Give me the full
I posted a
maths.
video about them on YouTube.
Did you?
Basically, if he starts a cannon before the hatch has 1,000 hit points, the cannons will finish before. So if you know that as Zerg, you let the cannons finish and then you cancel the hatch. So you see, you need to start the pylon after the hatch has 600 something hit points. So at this point, the pylon and the cannons are going to be on time to, I think, finish after the hatch. See, the hatchery is going to pass 1,000 hit points in a second. The cannons, one of them starts before, so that one cannon would finish before the hatch, the second one no.
Okay.
So I'm a little bit surprised that Tootming didn't even scout this. I think he might know. Well, right now he's gonna know in a second because he's overlord across the map. And
That's
actually,
cute.
no, there is no way he knows because that third base is gonna be cannoned as well.
Yeah, this is actually a very good move here by Arthur.
Or is he sending a drone? He's about to realize. I wonder if he's gonna cancel. That cannon should hit before the hatch. Actually no. It was made just, I guess, just a little bit around. Okay, it's not exactly 1,000 hit points, actually.
Thank you for all of that, Professor Todd.
It's like 900 something. I don't remember exactly.
But the point is the overall arcing idea of that is that you don't start them too early for it to be revealed before you could actually cancel. Look, another base. Why not?
Well, he has no choice, to be honest. It's not like he's going to make mass speedless links and get in there. I think the thing is he can use the lavas to make drones and most likely escape from the cannons because they're like pretty far away from that range. So if he was to use the lava to make a bunch of drones and transfer then to that new base, by the way.
Wait, that cannon's not in range, right?
Yeah, to kill the hatch, but to prevent mining, yes.
I guess so, yeah.
The thing is, usually when you cannon one base like this, a hatch first, you never cannon another base because it's not worth it. Otherwise, your tech is too late, that it's not worth it. You're gonna die through all-ins and all that. The thing is, in this situation, he just had to make one extra cannon to prevent mining from that other base. So in that case, it was definitely worth it.
Oh, it is in range as well. That's pretty sick. But that pylon could technically be dealt with a little bit easier by Queens if they were able to merge on over there.
Cannon.
It's really, really, yeah, that has a very, very long range. But anyway, whilst all that's going on, he's building a wall back at home. He's getting himself set up economically. There's lots of drones in production for Tootming behind this, but his economy has been slowed down because of this position that Arthur's put himself in. So a very good start here for Arthur on almost all fronts.
I'm a little bit surprised that Tootming didn't expect this as much as he did. Usually, especially if you don't send the second overlord to your natural, you need to at least send one drone over there to make sure this is not happening. Wait, okay, the cannon is... Did he bait the shots with this overlord on purpose, you think?
Maybe, but
I wonder if he can defend this one cannon by making like 2 spines down there. And then, well, actually, I think he's going to snipe that with 2 queens plus some links.
Yeah,
this is smart.
to.
He's going to save that base on time, I think.
Well, they have to kill that pylon. There's no way you can let that die.
The other cannons cannot shoot, though. That would be a disaster. He's going to stay out of the range. Nice save. As much as he's been slowed down, he's actually quite a few walkers behind. That's the biggest of deals here. 26 drones to 32 probes never really happens unless you have a disaster of a start as a Zerg. But at this point, TooDming having 3 bases and a bunch of queens ready to inject, I think he's going to be able to catch up as much as possible.
And I really like the choice of Arthur here to go for a Stargate. I mean, he doesn't technically, I don't think he technically knows about that base down at the bottom left-hand corner, but he knows that his opponent, because he just hasn't taken his natural, is still going to be spread thin anyway. So a Stargate choice here to then put on some pressure at those outlying bases could really, really hurt him, because you can't get all your queens in the right positions to defend against all of that. So this is kind of cool, but Ro16's already gone down for TooDming. I think he kind of expects something like a gateway push, but that's just not coming right now.
Yeah, you have to wonder with Arthur, you know, there's some possible all-ins that you can do with a Stargate. Especially if you get Void Rays with them. I think Oracle first here is a possibility. Yeah, okay, it's gonna be an Oracle. Behind this, I think if he gets Void Rays and does like a 7-gate plus 2 or 3 Void Rays, it's gonna be quite deadly. And I think the reason he's going for Oracle first here is because he got the Stargate very quick against a very slow down Zerg, who's not gonna have the money, or at least who doesn't want to spend the money into getting 3 quick spores. And at this point, since it hasn't even been scouted, he might not even have spores on time to defend against that Oracle. If this gets like, say, 6 or 8 kills, it's already a pretty big deal.
Funker's on top of things, man. He spotted that the Roach Warren was cancelled. He spotted that the Stargate has been seen. So now there's
Funker is a boss, man.
Yeah, he knows what's going on. So
he never misses anything except DT's Killing Swarm was yesterday.
Oh.
He missed one thing and caught like 500, and the only thing we talk about is the one thing, or at least the only thing I talk about.
You like digging at people, man. It's fine, it's fine. But Baneling Nest actually got added on during all of this, and 5 Overlords are in production. This Oracle's going to come in and kill off a few of these drones, though. Left vulnerable. There's only 1 queen there. Spore Crawler starts, but it's a bit too late. And it's just drones deaths. This is a really good start once again, and he's building Void Rays behind this, so he could happily defend this 3rd base that he's building behind this.
Oh my god, I did not think he was going to be able to get this many kills.
That's a lot.
If I had said a number, I wouldn't even have said up to 10. And at this point, having killed all that he killed, he's getting Void Rays behind this, he's getting the gold base. He can do some kind of sick and twisted 10 gates plus Void Rays, but he's getting the Twilight Council with it, so...
These cannons are getting such good cost efficiency because of the way in which those Zerglings were attacking them.
I'm surprised that TooDming went for them now, because he doesn't even really need that base, to be honest, right now.
Yeah.
He has to remake drones on the 3 bases that he has. He doesn't need to take a 4th base. Why clean this up now? I guess maybe he wanted to prevent a warping, because this is the time where Arthur could have a lot of gateways up, and TooDming, as well as he played so far in this series, his scouting of the main of his opponent has been minimal. Ooh. Like in this game, he's seen the 3rd base, he saw the natural, but the main base, he's been neglecting a lot. And
I didn't realize they actually had double Stargate behind all of this, so double Void Ray production now begins. Chrono Boost out as well.
Yeah, against the Spire.
Yeah. So this is going to go well for him as long as he gets good scouting information. He was, but those Zerglings trying to pressure that natural. Can't get in. Good force field control so far. Tries to defend the 3rd base and will do as well. Arthur's on top of everything. He's doing okay.
TooDming having this many links, as much as he's gonna have some map control, I feel like he really skipped on many drones to be able to get them.
What the?
And this is
1,500 APM. What just happened? 800? What's going on? I don't.
TooDming just entered the matrix.
I guess so. It went up to 1,500. I swear.
Double Spore in the main by TooDming. I really like this. He's anticipating perfectly that the Void Race might fly in there with the Mothership Core. This is a bit of an MC-esque move, I guess you could say, because we see MC do this very often. But the thing is, there is no gas to start Mutus. He just made a whole bunch of paintings. I think he's being up against double Stargates. He's maybe hoping that Arthur skipped on a lot of sentries and he's going to be weak against this kind of attack. But there's sentries everywhere. Ready for this?
React. No! Okay,
there's no more
loses a
sentries
lot of
anywhere
that.
to react to this.
Ouch.
I take it back.
charging on in as well, but
And
there's
he's going
also...
to lose a lot of probes and that base as well.
There's a lot of aggression
Oh my
going
Oh
on both sides of the map here. Banelings and Zerglings going to break down this third base very, very quickly. And also at the same time, the Void Ray is going to try and go for the layer.
How did the Zealots get into the main?
They just walked there, man. They were on a Sunday stroll and they just got in somehow. This is crazy. Tootming just killed off the Nexus, but he's going to lose his layer in the process. If he goes over to that Spire and kills that off, he's going to be on only Lings and Banelings.
Oh, he didn't make anything to use his gas. He could have made like 7 Mutas.
He needs to go and kill the Spire.
Hey, how is he ever going to deal with the Void Race now?
Oh, he's going to kill the spawning pool. Okay, so he's rebuilding that, but if he goes and kills the Spire, it's going to be great.
Tootming needs a lot of queens to deal with this Void Race. That's his only chance now. He cannot build queens. He needs... Oh, wait, he has another Spire? Where is he?
It's still in the main, the Spire.
Oh, okay. No,
he didn't kill it
I thought he
yet.
lost it.
No.
Okay, so he still has that alive. He lost the lair, and for some reason I thought he had lost his Spire, so he couldn't make Mutas and only make queens. But no, at this point, he was right to wait. 11 Mutas is a much better number than 7.
Yes, it is, Todd.
And I'm not making a joke about 7-11 here. 11 Mutas here is really going to allow him to basically fly into the main of his opponent, start killing probes. It's going to force Phoenix production. And at this point, Protoss goes into full defensive mode. And in the meantime, Tootming retakes his main. He's well saturated on quite a few bases. 71 drones now. Are you kidding me? 71 drones.
He never saw the Spire because he doesn't have a robo. He doesn't have observers to ever spotted the Spire as well. So as soon as he sees the Mutalisk, this is going to be the first time that he actually knows that these exist. Of course, Archons are morphing in. This arm is kind of good against them, but it's...
I wonder if Arthur is gearing up for a big attack here. And I wonder if these Mutas will trigger that attack out of him because...
He's going to hide them, though, and build up those numbers big.
Yeah, but if Arthur attacks, I think Tootming might have to fight. He doesn't have any static defense, to be honest. He's making a bunch of Banelings, but against these Archons, how much are they going to do, really?
Exactly.
There is sentries available as well. Force fielding next to Archons, one of the trickiest things
it's kind of scary
to ever do.
But if the Banelings do roll into the Archons, it's not cost efficient, but he just wants to try and get rid of as much anti-air as possible. They do flood forwards and actually connect with a lot of the Zealots on the ground, but none of the Archons are dead. These Mutalisks are going to have a really, really hard time. The Zerglings try and wrap around the Archons, though. Taking those down would be nice. Focus firing the Void Rays with the Mutalisks as best he can do to kill off what he can.
Sending the Queens.
Oh, he needs those. He absolutely does. They have 1 or 2 energies to transfuse and can bring those on, but the Void Rays is still there.
He has a Queen and it's natural that he's not using, actually. And man, these Void Rays, they just kill so damn much.
That Queen killed a creature.
Are you kidding me? They kill all the Mutas, the Queens, all the Banelings were sacrificed.
What a bizarre game.
Tootming going for a counter-attack. This is not working. I think Arthur, with this well-timed attack here, he might have done it. As much as he didn't damage the economy of his opponent, he traded so well now.
Get the Spire.
That this is what was one of the best case scenario. Oh, the Spire is actually blaming by itself right now.
Yeah, with that hatchery finishing up though, should be able to get back.
He cannot even drop some creep on it right now. Yeah, this.
It's going to stabilize in just a second when that creep spreads from the hive. Hatchery even, but...
Surely Arthur noticed that this is low. If he sends in a War Prism with some Zealots in it...
Yeah, just kill it. It would be nice. I mean, but...
Man, this one pylon at the gold base, near Tootming's base, this has warped in so many units there.
A lot of value from it. And he's got 3 triple Phoenix production behind this, so how can you actually deal with this as Tootming? This
Look
is
at those 3 Void Rays. They have like low hit points, but they regenerated the entire shield. The 3 Musketeers, man, they got so many kills between all of them, more than 30.
They've done really well. He actually picks up the Queens, really negating a lot of the damage from this position. And with the Mutalisks flying in here, as long as he controls his Phoenix properly, he shouldn't have too much of a problem against this. They're all dying. The Zealots are holding the ramp in a weird way.
Wow, charge plus the upgrades on those Zealots, really crushing those links completely. And I cannot believe. After all that happened, Arthur was able to go for that one timing here that he can make work. Because if he waits just 1 minute, even 30 seconds later, more to what he waited now, Tootming might have just barely enough to hold this attack, and then he's in a great position. He's in the driver's seat. But at this point, the timing that was hit, the pullback when he had just a few hit points on those Void Rays, and then the follow-up attack, great move by Arthur, and I think he's going to win that game.
Nothing to rival it now. The Phoenix and Void Rays completely rule the roost in the air. He can just pick up the Queens wherever he needs to, killing those off. And there's 4 Queens in production, but even that's not going to matter.
They're not even attacking because they're on move command. The thing is that Air Force here is comparable to what I guess you could call the power of Protoss.
Yeah, man.
It's very hardly stoppable, and it's not those 3 Queens on the way that are going to be able to do it. I think Corruptors Could have been a good option earlier in the game. Now it's like a desperation move because he has no choice left. Going for Mutas at this point will be useless against this many Phoenixes. And Stormstar's behind his by Arthur, so as much as he's committed a lot to this, he knows that he has the money behind it to not commit everything he has to it. He could even go for an additional base if he wanted. He's got sentries at his gold base ready to defend. And Tootming is on the verge of death here.
It's been a messy, scrappy game, but in the end, Arthur is currently prevailing. As long as he pays attention, good reactions. Keeping those Banelings out. They don't... For all the Banelings that have been around and we're at the 20-minute mark and they don't have centrifugal hooks or anything, this is an odd game. But, Arthur has made this odd from the very beginning, canning out that position. Tootming's had to play very, very reactionary all game long.
This poor Tootming, the entire game, like he started by getting cannon 2 bases, and now if you look at his bases, it's like he's lair in his natural.
All over.
His 3rd base is dying, like he has even a spawning pool there.
Macro hatch at the 3rd. So strange. But you're right, all of his tech was at the 3rd. It's crazy, crazy game. And now Corruptor's trying to fend off these Phoenix. They don't have the Anion Pulse Crystals, but they're still doing okay with the Void Rays being incorporated in as well. He's killing off his base down to the bottom left with the Zealots. This is crazy.
And Tootming, I think he wants to transition into Roaches, which against Zealot Archons makes sense. It's just too little too late. Over 50 supply leads for Arthur at this point. A lot of bases have been sniped.
I like it when Arthur pushes it into these weird situations. This is cool. I mean, again, as you said, that pylon up to the top left, it's just done. Top right, it's just done so much.
Yeah.
This air fleet is beginning to gather a huge amount of momentum.
Somebody who just tuned in might think that Tootming took his natural as normal, as standard as you would expect it, teched it to lair, and then took a 3rd and 4th and lost his 3rd and 4th. But it was actually a lot more than that happened in this game.
It really has.
He takes the other gold.
What? Okay, I guess so. He's
golds.
It's like that pylon's done so much for me. I guess I'll just make a base over here as well and continue the launch.
He's about to become rich Arthur.
Yeah, very happy. Hallucinated Void Rays in this army. He's like, come on, man, get out of my game. That's a lot of Void Rays. The
Roaches are going for a counter-attack, but with all the Phoenixes and Void Rays that are out, I just don't know that this is going to do much enough. And 3 Void Rays are about to come out and basically just make sweet love to these Roaches.
I love that hallucinated army, it's great. And the Corruptor's trying to run away.
Whether you love it, it was useless in this case.
Well, they were cute, they were cool, they were nice. I like hallucinations. I wish I could hallucinate High Templars so that I could dot them all around against Terrans and then force them to EMP them. That'd be nice. But it's not the case, sadly. Anyway, Nexus falls at the gold. At least he has the other gold to back him up, though. Not the most common of phrases we use on a habitation station, but it currently exists in this game.
Yeah,
Oh, you can hallucinate High Templars.
You can.
I never even tried. Wow, I'm going to do that all the time now.
If this Tootming, I like some of the moves that he did there, like going for the snipe on the goal as a counter-attack, it's just too late, way too late. But if he had done that before, if you look at Arthur's economy, he's mined out his main, he doesn't have any minerals in his natural, and he's lost his gold. So he's got the other golds, and obviously this is way too late for Tootming to make anything happen and be able to come back. But he showed a few good things, considering the deficit he started with. He showed a few good things, and so did this guy here.
All right.
With these sick 2 timings.
It's crazy.
The first timing was great. Like, to be honest, I've said this many times as well, so few players will dare attacking at this time, just because it's like, come on, what are you really going for? You have like 3 Void Rays, a few Zealot and Archons, what are you going to achieve? But if you think about it, a Zerg on 3 bases who's droned up really well, if you wait 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, every minute that passes by, he's going to outproduce you severely. So that first timing that he hit, only the Void Ray survived. He came back to safety around the Watchtower, made sure he regenerated the shields, made Zealot Archon's follow-up attack, basically sealed the deal with some sick lead after this. Very, very solid play by Arthur this game.
Good stuff from him. But now we move on to a bigger map, which is Altazim Stronghold. And I don't think it's going to be as easy for him to really establish something as funky as he did in that game. So he's going to have to play a bit more of a straight-up game unless he wants to go for something like a 2-base all-in here on Altazim Stronghold, which can also be treacherous itself. We saw in game number 1 the way in which Tootming positioned his Zerglings to greet something that was moving out, and on a map like this, traversing it with a 2-base attack is difficult.
It wasn't 1,000 hit points for the hatch. I just checked because in the video that I made, in the description, I wrote it down. It's 950.
Okay.
If you make a cannon after hatchery is on 950 hit points, it will finish just right after the hatch. The thing is, that means one cannon must be earlier to cover the other cannons that you're making, otherwise drones around can kill those. And yeah, as a Zerg, if you know that, and your opponent makes cannons before you hatch as 950, say he makes 3 cannons, you can just laugh and know that you're gonna cancel and you're gonna be in a great position. Isn't that cool?
That's pretty cool. That is nice. All right, let's get into it. Game number 3. Now, Ultrazine Stronghold, our map, as we have spawning down at the bottom left-hand corner, tying up the series 1-1, representing ESC Icy Box, it is Arthur. And up to the top right-hand corner, cross positions here on the biggest map in the map pool. Our red Zerg representing Zenith of Origin, it is Tootming.
Looks like we could be seeing a gateway opener here, and he's scouting right after.
Cannon rush, maybe? Because if
Cannot be a 4-gate, because you wouldn't scout this early with it.
this early scout looks like a cannon rush
Yeah,
to
I
me.
guess. I guess since it's a 4-players map,
Yeah.
the thing is, if you scout your opponent first, then you cannot really cannon rush because he's gonna make a pull first most of the time, being scouted this early. And at this point, he's not scouted his opponent first. Yeah, you could be right. When I see a pylon there, I immediately think gateway, but that's because I myself would never go for a forge like this and a cannon rush, especially on this map. I feel like on this map, it's pretty hard to go for a cannon rush, actually. Behind the mineral line of your opponent, if he takes the natural, the indoor base, there is not enough space to put down cannons for them to be well walled off that drone pull will not defend it. So maybe this is a bit like of a bluff, or maybe... Okay, in the previous game, Arthur, he went for the a safe build with like the forge, the cannon rush, and he could have had cannons well on time to defend if he was in trouble. But remember the game before. He went for Nexus, then Gateway. I think this might have been what he wanted to go for, but then he realized, if I get rushed in this game and I go for the same build, I'm gonna die. So I'm gonna play it safe. I'm gonna get Nexus first, then a gate, but I'm gonna scout to make sure I'm not getting rushed.
But also it puts fear in Tootming, right? It's like, how has this probe arrived here so quickly? So now he doesn't go for his 3rd hatchery, which he's tried to on both of the other maps, but on the biggest map, the prime opportunity to go triple hatch is now taken away from him, because it's like, why is this probe here so quick? So there's so many knock-on effects to this.
Somebody just tweeted to me, "You're the savior of the Zerg race." I think somebody just found out how to counter a cannon rush. I think actually it's funny how few people know what I just mentioned about the cannon rush. Well, so many people died to cannon rush. They're like, "Oh my god, like how do I hold this?" Well, if you actually know the math behind it, you can actually have some nice holds. I think a lot of players, they will make their cannon before 950 hit points, and then you can just cancel your hatch. Your opponent's gonna have made a lot of cannons for nothing. You just re-expand somewhere else.
All right, well, the full wall-off is now started up here for Arthur, so he can defend himself against anything, but he already sees a few lings.
You think Stargate again?
I would like to see Stargate in these positions. Anything is a little bit more difficult. Pause requested here by Arthur, but I think he did spot the fact... Are we going to pause? I'm assuming we're going to pause in just a second. Thanks, Rotterdam. All right, so he did see that there was gas opener, at least during all of this. So at least he can know that there is going to be speed on the way. And we're still trying to get a pause going here. Currently, Rotterdam's account is lagging out. And then
I think I just found out why Arthur is nicknamed Sad Arthur for himself. He looks pretty sad.
He does.
And you know, everybody have like their game face on. You know me, for example, I do the dog face when I play.
Yeah.
Like Grubby opens his mouth, MVP too, but Arthur, he just kind of looks sad.
He does kind of look sad. Does he require a pause still, or are we...
I don't know.
Anyway, okay, let's just get back into the game here, as we have now... This probe's going to be able to survive, which is always quite nice.
Very quick pneumatized carapace. This is like speed into pneumatized carapace. So at this point, Tootming, he realized that this is cross map. He has his overlords like, I don't know, like 3 days away from that main base of his opponents. He's like, I'm gonna send it. I'm gonna send my overlords in as soon as he's getting links.
Wow.
Is this the magnets? The speed overload magnets in the main?
Speed overload.
Where like you send your stalkers and everything, even your zealots, because like you have everything in one group as Protoss, and then the links get in. This is so weird.
Dude, I want vengeful sacks.
Why is he making links?
I'm not sure.
I think Arthur is such an aggressive player that TooDming is basically hoping for like some kind of brain fart by Arthur, like him moving out with like 3 units.
And then just catching him completely in the middle.
Just to fake pressure and catching him completely off guard. Maybe yes, there is some metagame involved where he knows Arthur likes to do this kind of thing.
But he's back to drones. He's back to drones. Double evolution chamber as well. This Overlord's going to come in and he's going to try and spot everything that's going on. He did see the army at the top of the ramp.
These centipedes around the sentries and zealots.
Centipedes by.
Hey, it scared me for a second. He stepped in there from like the fog of war. I thought he was a Ling for a second.
Mothership
Imagine
Corps
force
angry
field.
at it. Force fields for the Scantipede. It's like, get out!
It's a Scantipede, not a centipede.
Wow, okay, that's a lot of gateways, Todd. That's a lot. This is kind of something we expected. The
Overlord flew by and then the gateways went down. So at this point, TooDming is not going to have the information, but having spotted that there was no Stargate, no Robo, no Twilight Council, he has to be wondering. He has to be like, what is this? What are you doing to me?
And at least he has a lot of lings that he produced earlier that can intercept anything that's going to head across the map, because it's very, very difficult here. In its entirety, just to traverse, it's very difficult.
Baneling Nest goes down, so that's why he chooses to go for with the defense here. I wonder, TooDming, I guess...
I think this is a cool
choice. He placed the Spore nicely in his main to make sure he doesn't die to DTs running in. Cannot really be Stargate at this time, like it would already have started to... It would have already been revealed, so it can only be Gateways or Immortal Push. Against which, in both scenarios, if you have Zerglings with upgrades and a bunch of Banelings, on a map like this, it's gonna be very, very hard to force field well against it. So, I think Arthur is anticipating this attack coming, like one of these attacks, and he's gonna wanna need a good mix of Zerglings and Banelings to be able to hold it.
At least the Mothership Corps did see these Zerglings moving into position.
Oh, he should have just run in there then. Arthur would have had to either chase or leave those Lings there.
Yeah. It's hoping on a few Stalkers to push across with this as well, but now it's just Lings and Banelings in production. Ro16 gets added on as well, but as long as he gets a good surround on this very, very open map, this should go okay for TooDming.
48 probes to 37 drones. TooDming better hold this because he has no economy in this game. This is ridiculous. 37 drones. Because of that first wave of Zerglings that he made, that didn't really do anything, he's decided to fully commit to try and defend this attack. But Arthur, he has good force fields. It's all gonna come down to the force fields.
He's gonna need good force fields against this as the wraparound starts. Oh, great force field on that left-hand side, sealing those Zerglings from even getting a wraparound. Oh,
he just used that. You know that gif is like the guy playing with the pads.
It like swings around and stuff like that.
This is what just happened.
Oh dear.
Arthur took out his console pad here.
TooDming supply blocked. These are the only units he's gonna have here.
I mean, even without that, 45 army supply to 66. He's on Ling,
that
Baneling.
force field on the ramp. Baneling sealed out. It's only Lings against this. There's too many Stalkers. TooDming has played a weird game number 3. He was making units really early on that didn't really do anything, and Arthur, with this 8-gate, has just hit him so hard. Look at that army.
It's not going to be so many Banelings as much as it is so many Stalkers in this game, because
so many force fields.
With this insane amount of gateways, he has 8 gateways on 2 bases. He was able to make a ton of units. He still has a bunch of force fields available, but even without that, he has such a sick supply lead. And TooDming, as much as I said, he seems to play better against this kind of aggressive all-in Protoss. It just didn't work here for him. I have to wonder, these Zerglings, I'm gonna go and ask him after this, because
why were those ones produced at the beginning?
I just don't get it.
Well, Arthur gets it. GG. He advances on to the winner's game after a very well-executed 8-gate against an opponent that was just not prepared for it. So congratulations to Arthur for moving on to the next round. Good stuff by him.
Did he just drop his headset?
He may have done.
TooDming, I like the way that he played the first game. In the second game, he showed some good things, but the initial cannon rush is really... I wonder if maybe he was on a little bit of a tilt. You know, after a game like this, where you don't see cannons coming, 2 of your bases are severely, I guess you could say, delayed. One of those was killed, one of those was delayed basically to mine from for a very long time, and then behind this you have to play against Void Race. They can be a pretty frustrating unit to fight against. They are just here like shooting consistently. And,
what are they like? Sick.
prismatic core lines, and they just shoot, and you just see the laser go down, and you just lose everything.
I must admit, Void Ray's attack is pretty cool.
Well, it's cool when you're on the good end of it. When you're the one who with the Void Rays, when you're the one respecting them. But when you're on the other hand, the dying hands.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not
difficult
fun.
times.
Yeah, very, very difficult. A lot of damage been done by those. We already saw Arthur capitalize on that in game number 2. Now he advances on. Tootming's going to have to fight his way through the loser's game, depending on who he's going to be facing, of course. That could be a bit difficult. We still have some fantastic players left here in Group C. We have some great players in Group D as well. Every single match today, I think, is going to be really, really good because I'm really, really enjoying WCS America so far. And that does it for us here at the desk. Now we head over to Mr. Redeye.
Thank you, Calaris, and of course Todd there as well. Game 1 is already done and dusted, but what a game it was. Rotterdam's back with me. That was a lot of fun watching those two. I was a little caught off guard by how Arthur played in the first couple of games, but then we sort of saw the old Arthur back in game 3.
I think it's those two for this next
series. What did you make
right?
of it?
It was a combination, I think, of both how Arthur played and how Tootming played very well into him. Like game 1, as Todd said, pointed out very well as well. Excellent read by Tootming. He just kind of knew what to expect. He couldn't have done it any better. He made that look easy. Well, any Zerg will tell you, even when you know the Immortal Century is coming, it's still pretty hard to stop. Well, it didn't look that hard that game. So it was really well done. Game 2, madness, as we kind of expect from Arthur. And game 3 was just solid. Arthur is like, well, if you're going to play like that, I have something that can actually deal with that. And he showed it. And
yeah, he's very strong in that last game. But we're going to take a look at game 2 on Habitation, which you found something that actually makes both players look very good in a way.
Yeah, that's the most beautiful thing about StarCraft, right? Instead of just saying that one person did something awesome, I think both players made a couple of correct... I mean, it was a very unorthodox game, of course, guys. So you won't find yourself in that situation all the time. I think Funkai is loading the game for us right now. But, you know, whenever something like that happens, crazy cannon shenanigans, you get yourself in situations that you don't have a whole lot of experience in because all timings are thrown off. Now, suddenly 12-minute, 30-second mark, you have 3.5 bases. Either way, a bunch of Void Rays are flying in the main, and TooDming is doing the absolute correct thing. We can just play it from here, as we know that he starts countering with those Banelings. Arthur is like, hey, well, I got all those Void Rays in the maze. I have to do something. I want to do something. So he takes out those spores immediately. He takes out the layer. And some people might think, like, if those Void Rays fly south, they're going to take out every single building, and they will eventually take out the bases, right? Well, they might take out one more base, but at the same time, Arthur would lose so much on the other side of the map. TooDming was basically doing what Mondragon did in a long time ago in TSL 2, I believe, or 3 it was. You know, offense is often the best defense. On this moment, he couldn't deal with the Void Rays, but he could have just made a bunch of spores on the south side. So he's just like, hey, I'm just going to rally links across the map. And Arthur is like, I really need this base, because if I'm going to be stuck on 2 bases, he's going to, you know, stabilize before I do. And if I'm stuck on 2 bases, eventually my Void Rays won't be able to kill the static defenses. So I love that TooDming still thought about attacking while there were Void Rays in his main. And I love even more that Arthur brought those Void Rays back, because he's like, hey, I need to keep that base alive, because eventually, without that base, I will be screwed. And he was almost still really in a messed up position.
Yeah, it was pretty close anyway.
But that Archon timing, as Todd said as well, 30 seconds later, it's like going to be completely crushed. But we all know that Archons against Zergling, Bane, Muda, it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, so TooDming put up a good fight. Do you think he'll do all right in the other game that he's got coming up? I mean, depending on who he plays, obviously, it could be Tasia, but it's more likely to be Max said. It's going to be then an all-Chinese game, and he doesn't do too well. Their matchups, funnily enough, TooDming actually 5-4 head-to-head with Max said, so he's ahead, but recently he's been losing quite often to him. So
yeah, and also Max said, of course, way more experience on the bigger stage, especially when it comes to international travel. So I don't think he would be down and out, but it's going to be tough for him. I thought he would have a better shot against Arthur than he would have against Maxed. Also because Maxed is as tricky as Arthur, but also shown us that he can do the complete opposite in the round of 32, where he just plays his solid passive macro style, and then as a Zerg, it gets really difficult to deal with a Protoss like that.
What do you make of Arthur from his games so far today?
In the line of expectation.
Yeah, really? I mean,
yes.
You know, mostly we thought there was going to be a little bit of funky stuff in there, and there was. When he opened up on the first game, were you surprised though?
I was surprised by how easy Tootming was able to defend that, because those kind of pushes normally, even when you know it's coming, it's still hard, but it didn't look that hard at all. And I was like, wow, if this continues, it's going to be bad. You know, we should never look too much into a single best of 3, because as Todd said as well, if that Arc on attack comes 30 seconds later, if something goes slightly different on Habitation Station, we're looking at the 2-0 victory, and we're having a whole different conversation
Absolutely.
here.
Yeah. All right, thank you very much, Rotterdam. Nicely broken down as ever. We're going to take a quick break now, but when we come back, ladies and gentlemen, it is the year of 2013's champion, Tasia, going head-to-head with the man who's attempting to reach his 3rd consecutive quarterfinal, Max Zed. We'll be right back after the break.